He is, I think, the foremost expert on slowing down the aging process on the planet Earth today, and the author of the book Lifespan. Talk about today, Dr. David Sinclair. Welcome back, brother. I'm looking at you, and I'm thinking, you look younger. That's a telling sign of aging. In other words, do we look our age? If we look younger, are we actually mechanically, medically, biologically younger?
Yes,
Really?
it's really true. There was a study maybe a couple of years ago. They looked at people's biochemistry. You can now measure people's age. You can do the what's called the DNA methylation clock. It's
Yes.
basically reading the DNA chemicals,
Yep.
and we can see the age. And then you can match that to how old somebody looks. And this was based on AI interpretation of age.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody looked older, they generally were older internally as well.
Hmm. This whole aging thing, we talked about this a lot on the program before. So describe for us, because I think the foundation of your work, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is this concept, the basic concept of hormesis. So how, I know what it is because I've done a bunch of reading. I've read your book and study you like crazy. But explain to everybody, what is the basis of hormesis and why does that impact aging?
Yeah. Well, it's similar to what you preach, which is what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically the biological premise here, is that we want the body to be under a state of non-complacency. In other words, I want to make everybody have their body feel as though they could die next week. So you got to trick your body. I mean, you don't want to die next week,
Right.
obviously, but you want to induce this. You call it hormesis. That's what scientists call it. But basically, it's putting the body in a state of perceived adversity, as opposed to some of the other things that we can do in life, and that's perceived abundance.
Yeah.
And in life, we have a choice. We can live a certain way. Some of them are choices of lifestyle, diet, exercise, hot, cold, even mental health. Those things can put you either in this abundant state or adversity state. And it's that adversity hormesis state that long term is pretty much proven, and certainly in animals it's known, to extend the lifespan and keep you healthier for longer. It's not just about living longer, it's got to be healthier.
Mm.
And in fact, often people say, well, why would I want to live longer if I'm just going to be older for longer?
I hear that a lot.
And that's so wrong. What I'm about is let's prevent and treat diseases of aging by keeping the body younger.
Okay.
And the only way I know how to keep somebody alive for longer is to keep their diseases away.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out if you're not sick and you're not depressed and you got family, you don't want to die and you don't die. So that's my goal, is to keep everybody happy, healthy, productive.
Mm.
When that happens, you live longer.
Yeah, there's very few people. It's funny, of all the stuff in the medical world right now, there's this little community, right? Even to this day, you're one of very few people who are really spending their life studying this topic. It's fascinating. You would think that preventative medicine, preventative health, in other words, being proactive instead of treating disease, instead of preventing it, would be what everybody would be into now. But it's really still the way it was 80, 100 years ago. We just treat symptoms still, don't we?
Well, doctors do. Trained doctors do. That's where it's come out of history, where you have to wait for somebody to be sick to be able to diagnose and then treat.
Yeah.
But we live in a world now where we can predict diseases
Right.
in a way that people 100 years ago could never do that.
Yeah.
And so it's very rapidly changing, not so much at the edge of medicine, but in the consumer health and wellness and people's education of how to live their lives. And then they go to their doctor and say, hey, have you heard about this? Or, hey, have you seen my latest blood work that I had done myself?
It's so true.
And that the patient is now driving the doctor for the most part.
It is so true. I mean, that's exactly what I do. And I'm there's little markers and whatnot. The hormesis thing, I want to stay on that in a minute. So is intermittent fasting one of those things? In other words, you've tricked your body into thinking you're hungry. So that is a form of survival mode in your body?
Yeah, it is. It is. Time restricted feeding is a better way of putting it.
Okay.
I've-
Why?
I've-
What's the difference?